All right, what's going on? Back with another market analysis. This week, we are going over Bitcoin and the overall crypto market. It's not looking good. It's not looking good. So last week, we were pretty bearish as well, right? We were looking at this C3 continuation, but price wanted to move higher, take out this high again. Not much on our left in this range, right? But we manipulated the highs once more. The short framework was there for C3 continuation shorts on the weekly, right? But we did get stopped out here. So our short did look something like this after this initial CISD when the new week opened, right? So we were targeting the downside. We are still targeting the downside. What did last week do? Manipulated the highs, came back, changed in state of delivery again. Another clean short setup. I would say it's a bit cleaner, although one thing that is throwing me off is that this week has no wick. So the C3 has no wick. That is a devil's mark, and price might revisit that. But we did have a intercandle change in state of delivery here beginning of the week. So I am still leaning towards the downside. If you want to take the short, you can here, right? So this is pretty low risk, 1%, right? To get stopped out, but high risk to reward ratio, right? Especially if you're targeting these equal lows. Obviously, there's tons of failure swings down here. We have this low down here. Even if it gets to these lows down here, that is basically a 9R trade. So definitely, if you want to take this trade, it is low risk, right? Or if you want to wait until price does something like this, comes back in, another change in state of delivery, etc. Right? So still really good risk to reward, even if it's like that, something like that occurs. That's like a 5R to these low down here. But right now, this is valid short setup. Doesn't need to create a wick. It kind of doesn't, right? Market can just open and dump. But yeah, right now I'm leaning towards the downside on Bitcoin. Let's check out some other alts. So Sol, again, looking pretty bearish. Took out this high over here, changed in state of delivery on the 4-hour. And we are on candle 3. So if we have a intercandle change in state of delivery, I would expect some more downside, especially to these lows down here. And that is also a nice move down there. So basically, looks like we're still ranging. And ETH looks pretty similar as well. We already opened lower, had a nice intercandle change in state of delivery. SMT with Bitcoin, as you can see here, right? Let's check that out. Yeah, so we do have SMT with Bitcoin right over here. So that is pretty nice. That is something I require for trades in the futures, in indices, and if it occurs in crypto as well, then that's another confluence that we can use for lower. So this is already a big move in the early start of the week. Today is Tuesday. Yesterday was a holiday, so people are getting back onto the charts today, and we can expect lower, in my opinion. Doge, similar story. We were anticipating lower prices as well, C3, but price had another move higher. Didn't really take out this high, but ultimately respected the EQ of the previous week's candle, although it went a little extreme, right, into that range. But price did ultimately go lower, and I am expecting continuation shorts to the downside. XPL, super clean shorts, C3 here, as you can see, 1, 2, 3, open higher, change in state of delivery right over here, retest of that CSD order block for a move lower. That is super clean. That is at least a 3 to 4 hour trade on XPL. XPL has been pretty much down only, right? So we can anticipate it to move lower. Pretty shitty coin, to be honest. But yeah, super clean framework on XPL. And hype, different story here. Again, we were expecting shorts last week, right? But price had a different motive. Price came back, moved higher, created this breaker block here, actually, right? So we have a low, high, lower low, and a higher high. So this pattern here is essentially a breaker, right? Come back down, retest this breaker here, and which it did, right? We have this fair value gap here, which it had some resistance, and then ultimately comes back down. So not really tradable, right? You could have scalped this reaction off the breaker here, but ultimately it looks like price wants to move lower. Again, pretty shitty price action on hype, but I would expect this low 22,179 to get taken. Similar story with Fart Coin. Yeah, just looking for continuation lows, excuse me. We have these failure swings down here and ultimately this low down here. So expecting some more downside. Mantle, we have this low down here. Looks pretty bearish. But overall, everything looks bearish, right? Looks moving super cleanly to the downside as anticipated. It's quite nice, very nice. Look at that, you'll be in profit already. What was I gonna say? If we look at the yearly chart, and I've mentioned this in the previous video as well, this looks pretty messy, but just ignore it, right? So we have this swing here. We have this swing forming, right? We are on candle 3. We didn't create a wick on the yearly, and it's respecting this bottom half of previous year's wick, the yearly wick, right? This top half. And now, yeah, I'm anticipating lower. Obviously, we have this fair value gap, the yearly fair value gap here, right? We could expect 74.5 to get taken, but hopefully there's a reaction anywhere from here. And that's what I'm expecting. I'm expecting more downside. And it's hard to frame upside with the yearly candle closing like this, right? So you have to take that into consideration. There's no yearly wick. And I just want to see price come back down, at least touch 74K and respect this top half of this fair value gap. Midpoint of this fair value gap is around 60K, and then we can slowly start. That is very large time frame, but you get my drift. I think this year will be a little bit bearish, especially at the beginning of the year. So yeah, that is all I think. I think I covered most of it. Again, Sol has this SMT with Ethereum here as well. Changes data delivery on the daily. Sweep previous month's high. Pretty clean for shorts. I'm not gonna lie. And that is the market analysis, my friends. Take care.